and I'm the resident biokineticist along with my other colleagues at Stretch Pilates, where we help people get stronger from the inside out. Today we're doing a follow-up series on the wrist pain that is commonly experienced in Pilates classes, and so we've talked about a few tips already on how to cope with the flow and adapt your own personal practice to cope with the pain and discomfort that you might be experiencing that's limiting your practice. But today we're going to go on a bit of a tangent, trying to figure out how to strengthen and lengthen the wrists so that you don't have to cope with that pain. You can banish that pain away from your body and it will no longer be part of your practice. First, we're going to start with some range of motion exercises. So often pain and stiffness go hand in hand, and maybe your wrists aren't used to being put in these precarious positions, and so we're going to encourage more range, more flexibility, and see if that helps with your discomfort. So the wrists are responsible for flexion, extension. We also have a little bit of eversion and inversion, and then the wonderful rotational component of the forearm. So the wrist is quite complicated, and there are lots of little bones and ligaments in the hand themselves that can also play a role. So I'm going to start with 2 stretches of the wrist, and you'll be able to feel those stretches immediately, and then we'll have graded progressions where you put more weight on the hands. So a simple and effective stretch for the wrist is to extend your arm out in front of you and then grab hold of your knuckles, pulling the fingers towards your chest, and this will stretch those extensors of the forearm. Now note that this area of your body is influenced by this musculature. So when looking at a wrist, I always look at the joint above for signs of stiffness and trigger points or pain. So we'll pull on those bones of your hand and stretch the forearm muscle. And then the same is true, but in the opposite direction for the flexors. So we're going to take that hand and we're going to put it like this. Now that feels a little stiffer on me, and it might do so on you, because it is the position that we battle with on the mat in Pilates. To progress this, you can either use a wall and press your body weight into the wall, or press your palm into the wall to increase the stretch, and maybe then also take this hand out of the equation. And another very useful way is to do it in weight bearing. Seems as though that's how we're going to be positioned for the rest of the Pilates class. So I'm going to go ahead and get onto my hands and my knees. And you can see that is a big stretch. Now, if we want to turn the fingers to face down, you'll feel a bigger stretch. So you can hang on down on one hand and just feel how your body responds to that. And obviously when you take your weight off of the wrist, you may experience a little bit of discomfort. So don't try and win in the first go. Just try and see how your hand tolerates, how your wrist tolerates that discomfort. And then the opposite position would be to place your fingers like so and apply as much weight as you can bear. Once again, when you come out of it, you're going to want to relax carefully and slowly. We could also play around with the position of the elbow in your stretches, turning in and out the elbow itself, and maybe seeing how you are holding your own body weight over the wrist. I'm going to give you a tip here today that the elbow, bony part of the elbow needs to face out, and that the soft part of the forearm needs to face in. So if you are at discomfort and you're sitting here hyperextending into the elbow, then no wonder the torsion at the level of the wrist is unbearable. Once you can manage doing one hand and weight bearing gently and gradually increasing, you can challenge yourself by adding the other hand as well. But I think that if you're watching this video, that will probably be beyond the scope of your body today. But I'm just going to go ahead and show you that this is possible, and it's completely pain-free by a little bit of stretching. And so is this. And so here I have a set of healthy wrists that are able to carry me throughout the hour-long Pilates session. We said we were going to start with range of motion, so this is the start of your rehab journey. A couple of seconds of stretches in the wrists, and maybe you'll feel a little bit tender afterwards, but we're going to move on. I spoke about the muscles of the hand and the ligaments in the hand and the bones in the hand as contributing towards pain. And so I'd like to introduce you to the golf ball. Now the thumb has a very spongy, muscular section, which makes the human hand impressive. This ability of your thumb to cross over your palm is why we are able to grip things right and use our hands. And it's this little muscle that can be full of trigger points that lead to wrist discomfort. So if you've ever injured your wrist and felt for trigger points in your thumb, you will know that a little golf ball in there is going to bring you pleasure and pain at the same time. So what you want to do, and Danny, you might want to actually zoom in here. What you want to do is you want to put your golf ball underneath the thumb and roll around on the golf ball. The more weight you have over the golf ball, the more discomfort you'll feel, and maybe the more value you'll experience. So you can go to town on it. It'll be quite painful, like any trigger point would be. And you want to do it consistently rather than just hard one day and never again. Because that's just maybe going to bruise you rather than actually change anything. So I'd recommend doing this every 2 to 3 days, giving yourself a bit of a break, because you poke a bruise, you poke a bruise, you poke a bruise, and it's just going to be a bigger bruise forever. So we want to give you a little bit of a reprieve, so give yourself a day in between. And then obviously what you do to one side, you're going to want to do to the other side.
This is okay. Did you see that in our series? You see the prize?
Good. And then when it comes to strengthening up the wrists and making them stronger so that you can cope with the demands, I would say stress ball is an excellent choice. Just trying to get the grip strength improved in the forearm. Using a stress ball, you can take a sock, roll a sock and just squeeze your sock, and try and do that throughout the day just to increase your actual strength of the palm and the fingers in flexion. And then we move higher up to the elbow joint, where you can do some wrist extension exercises, holding a dumbbell and lifting the dumbbell over the edge of your coffee table or your dining room table and doing extension exercises. You can use a TheraBand as well. Great resistance with the TheraBand. With the TheraBand, you are forced to focus on the down and the up. So trying to eccentrically strengthen the extensors and then concentrically strengthen. And then flip over and we'll do wrist flexion, and it's an eccentric wrist flexion, and so we're strengthening the forearm. Good. And so I recommend doing maybe 10 to 15 repetitions, 2 sets per wrist of those movements, and you're bound to find improvements in your strength and your ability and endurance to be on your hands. Thanks guys, we'll check you soon.